Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
Welcome back to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. I am Dave Snowberger, joined in the studio with Marshall Tucker.
That's me.
Alicia Hooper.
What's up?
And the new guy, James Mendez, is back.
What's
We're
up?
going to let him actually
Another
talk
day.
again.
Maybe.
Briefly.
We didn't learn our lesson last time.
Yeah. We'll allow him to start, and we may or may not cut
This
him off.
episode
Allow
is
him to
all about
introduce
James.
himself.
And that's about it.
A show all about me? All about you. Perfect.
All
My
right.
favorite
It's going to be
topic.
like 7
So-
hours.
Oh, that's all the time we have today. This
Get to the
conversation.
point.
It has great context.
Here's everything.
Seriously.
At least it's substance, and you'd understand some stuff.
All
It's
right.
good. It's pretty sensible.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
what are we talking
Topic.
about today?
The topic is submitting an offer and what a great offer would look like for if the client or the listing agent has 0 offers or has multiple offers, how I can best present my offer so I will win and beat everybody out.
Let's break it down one at a time. What's your specific question?
Break it down.
How can I submit a competitive offer the first time, regardless of how many people else or how many other people have submitted an offer?
So you're looking at it, I mean, I'm sure you're taking into account, so we'll just come up with a scenario. First weekend on the market goes on Friday. First day on the market goes Friday. Your clients
on the
call
weekend.
you want to go look at it Saturday. You go look at it. They decide they want to submit. By Sunday, you're turning in an offer.
Yep.
You want to know how to best write that to increase your odds at winning the
The game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winning the deal.
game.
Yep.
Getting the offer.
Yeah.
Getting it signed.
Closing
Executed.
the deal.
Executed contract. Whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there's something that we're not calling it that everybody out there is going like,
the deal.
it's called this. Closing the deal.
No, it's not. We're not at the table.
Yeah. It's not there yet. Almost.
Okay, strictly my opinion. I'm primarily on the listing side of things. What I like to see when I have a hot property and I'm anticipating and I see the showing activity absolutely going bananas, more than likely, if it's launch, I more than likely had a open house. I can gauge from whoever's working that open house for us. I can send them a text and, hey, how it's looking, or they've already texted me because it's batshit crazy. The other day, Marshall Tucker did one at a very hot property here in Austin, Texas, and I believe the first day we had close to 30 groups. That's not 30 people. That's 30 groups, and half of those were unrepresented. Some of them were realtors. Some of them were neighbors. People get bummed out when they see neighbors come in. Don't get bummed out.
Nope.
I'm telling you right now, when you see neighbors come in, I think 2 of you guys have made a comment about the neighbors. The neighbors are there to interview you for a job, because more than likely they're going to sell their home down the road. So
That's right.
That was a little sidebar. Back to the offer. What I like to see when coming in, and if I start seeing verbal communications from that agent saying, hey, look, we visited your property today. It looks good. More than likely I'm bringing you an offer. I typically don't get the sellers excited. I don't call and tell them, hey, we got an offer coming in.
Heck no.
I don't count my chickens before they're hatched.
That's right.
And so now let's get down to what I like to see. Obviously, I like to see if I price the property and I had everything to do with pricing the property, I know that it's priced pretty much right on the money. If it's the first weekend in a neighborhood that shows things that sell less than 10 days, I expect it to be anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000 over the asking price. All right. And so that's a real thing, especially here in Austin, Texas. We see that a lot. We have a lot of neighborhoods. That one happened to be in a school district that's one of the top 50 in the nation, and people fight to get into this neighborhood. What else do I like to see? Just a strong offer, not asking me for a lot of things. So don't put a lot of things on the sellers. Have your buyers absorb some of these things into really put some skin in the game. And so if the survey isn't correct, check the box that you'll pay for the survey. You're the one that's going to benefit from it from the next time they go to sell it, right? And so you're the one that's going to be in possession of that survey. I mean, you have to realize that this particular seller had been in the house for 38 years. They misplaced their survey. After 38 years, they finally lost it. However.
So on the flip side of that, just to represent on the buy side, I encourage my clients to ask the seller to pay for the survey only because you don't want them to pay for something before purchasing the property. So if it goes through, then they have a survey that they can't do anything with.
However, they're only billed at the end of the transaction. So it's never paid for up front.
The survey?
Yeah.
Oh.
So typically it's billed right on, and whatever title company that we use in the past has paid for that up front, and then it's billed. It's a debit to whichever party the box is checked for.
As a buyer's agent on this side.
And the thing was how do you write a clean contract to get it to be our favor? Because what you just said,
Yep.
most agents are going to come at me with that. We're all trained when we first get into the business that if we're working the buyer side, push everything on the seller.
That's what I was going to say.
If we're working the seller side, push everything on the buyer, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to make this a stronger offer, you're going to come in with less responsibilities from the seller.
True.
And so you're going to actually show that you
No
have some
home
skin in the game.
warranty,
Yeah.
et cetera.
And so,
Right.
hey, I'm going to let you slide this time. It's cool.
Got all caught up in it. I was like, hold on.
Like, I got this son of a bitch.
I'm not paying for that.
Yeah. And so that's one. Title policy, if it's a big one, like I've noticed lately, there's offers coming in 10 and 15,000 over. Title policy is what, like 1%? So, I mean, if it's a $300,000 home, what's $3 more grand? Right? So take it down a notch, take it to a few $1,000s over the asking price, and then offer to pay for the title policy. Once again, you're buying your own title policy, and then, it's typically too one thing to get on the agent's better side that I don't agree with this at all. And then this goes to show we're with a title company we dislike right now because I just decided to go ahead and accept the deal and not really negotiate the title stuff of it and keep it with the title company we like. Title companies, there's a lot of favoritism there, I think, in my opinion. And so I like to stick with the title company that I use because I know them. I know that at a drop of a hat, I can send them an email and they'll answer me within an hour. Mm-hmm. Now we're with a title company that when they respond to us, we have to log into their secure system. I absolutely hate it and refuse to even talk to them. I mean, if you guys want to talk to me, call me on the phone. I'm not logging into your secure system to send an email back to you.
Yeah, seriously.
Not going to do it. What are you writing down over there?
Making a strong offer.
Show notes.
Making my notes.
Oh, making notes.
My
Okay.
notes.
What else? So title policy. There's one right there. I would typically keep the seller's agent's title company on there. Was the point of that whole rambling right there. Keep the title the title there. Don't try to switch the companies, and especially don't switch it to. We had one the other day that switched to a different part of town that would have taken my sellers that are elderly, taken them probably an hour to drive there. And it was like, absolutely not. Why would you even give me an offer? With a title company that's an hour away. Well, that's where my buyers live. Well, that's not where my sellers live. So, we can do it over here. We'll just keep it at my title. We're paying title policy. We get to pick as the sellers. You want to pay title policy? There, right in whatever title company you want.
There you
Or
go.
find something in between, you're saying? If it's
In a
it's your-
sense, just
if it's
this
two people
squeaky
pulling?
wheel gets the grease, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like,
most convenient for everybody.
yeah.
A little bit of skin.
It's just once again my opinion, my suggestion. You ask me a question, I'm answering.
Well, and as a listing agent, I'm sure you do this, Dave. When I take a listing, I open title immediately because I want to make sure that once we do get an offer, everything is good and clear and we don't have any hiccups within the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 times out of 10, the title company is already selected because I've opened title as soon as I took the listing.
Yeah, and we do that a lot also, especially with anything that I can foresee a problem. If I just look at the property, if I know from the conversation,
Right.
we probably need to open title to see what these people actually owe, to see if we can get them out on top, or if they're going to come to the
Yep.
closing table with cash.
I mean, we've had surprise deals too, right? Where
Uh-huh.
we didn't expect anything to be wrong, and thank goodness we opened it up and discovered it. So.
Right. Yeah, I had one once that had a $550,000 Department of Treasury lien on a house, and the house was my first listing at $145,000.
You're like, oh.
You're like, what does this mean? Is that going to cover that? Am I still going to get paid?
Am I good?
Yeah, your first listing, you're like, am I still going to get paid? And then it was like a hot property. It took like 28 offers in the first 24 hours.
Dang.
Yeah, and I had to lay them out. I didn't know what to do. I called the broker in. I had the whole table full of offers, and everybody walked in like, you underpriced it. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, there's not one house in this neighborhood. I overpriced it by $15,000 and still got it. Ended up like it had to get cash because it wouldn't appraise. So we had to take a cash offer for it, and it was just a hot little investor neighborhood.
Nice.
And so actually the person that bought it ended up cash. She ended up fixing it up, and it was her first flip. She ended up getting divorced, and she moved into it. I still keep in contact with her. She's a cool lady, school teacher, and she ended up just keeping the house for herself, and she scored.
Nice.
Basically her husband bought it cash, and she got to say peace out the divorce and keep it.
Nice.
Anyway, so back to the offer real quick. Option days, that's another one that's
was my
pretty
second
big.
question.
What we do when we go in and how I instruct my buyer's agents is when we're in a multiple offer is shorten down those option days. The
And
option
increase
days
the
here in
money.
Texas is that unrestricted right to terminate the deal for any reason whatsoever, right? And so that's a scary clause, especially on the seller side. What do you mean? They can just wake up and be wake up on the wrong side of the bed and walk away from this deal? Yep. And it only costs them $100. And then what do we have to do after that? We have to answer every single agent that calls us and asks us what's wrong with the house because we decided to take it off the market. It went pending for a few days. They didn't even get to their inspections, and then hopefully we can get an agent to listen to us, but typically that shows that the house is tainted, and that's the mindset new agents go into. So that's a hard one. What else can you think of, Marshall?
What's a good for receiving? Like, I know they say get an option period as large as you can, like 7 to 10 days, which has been my go-to for the offers. What do you like to see? What's a good time frame to allow them to do the inspections, allow them to actually do their due diligence, but still, keep it short enough to where it leaves the seller with enough confidence that
right now
they're
I
gonna
know
go
that
through?
most inspectors can get in there and get done within 5 days. So typically, if you're going to get something accepted on Monday and you're worth your weight as an agent, you have contacts, you have an inspector you already use, you've already sent them a text, hey, do you have Tuesday open? I might have one expected, or and then typically I might have one accepted. Typically, once that gets accepted, I drop them a text again and say, hey, we're on for 10 o'clock. I check with the sellers, or if I'm on the buyer end, I check with the seller's agent, will this work? They tell me, yes, it will. I send the inspector in. It's a go. We don't go near the inspection, and if we do, it's only for the last 30 minutes. We stay out of his way. That way that inspector can work more efficiently, get the job done, get home, put it in a report, get it over to us. We'll read what we need to read, and then get on with it. And so that way it gives me a few days, at least 3 to 4 days, to form a good, solid amendment of anything that we're going to ask for in repairs, or if we go for money, or if we want something, if we see a lawnmower, I deal a lot with, it seems, with properties that have a little bit larger in acreage size, and people are always going after the mowers or anything to take care of the property, that might be specific to that property. They always try to keep.
Right.
So I would keep your asks. Sorry, while we're talking about that, so non-realty item stuff.
Yeah.
To get your offer accepted, don't write your offer with that shit up front.
Yeah.
Keep that off of anything. And if you're going to come back and ask for it, do your inspection first, and then use those as leverage. Use them as bargaining tools.
Yep, for sure.
On the seller side, I use my clients' possessions that they're willing to give up, that they've said it. They're always like, they can keep the washer and dryer and fridge. And I'm like, well, hold on, not so fast. And just let's use that for leverage. If they come back and ask for something, say, hey, we're not going to repair that because we really only care about health and safety issues. And right now you're talking about chip paint.
Right.
How about you just take this washer and dryer and shove it? No, I'm just kidding. You take this washer and dryer in lieu of, us not painting out there, and you guys get to the paint whenever.
So in order,
you got a $1,000 washer and dryer out of it. It's 2 years old.
So then you also recommend the as is on the upfront when you're submitting the
Yeah,
contract.
well,
instead
all
of-
offers go with as is up front.
That's a
So
given.
that's always, and so that's something on my end that I have to explain, being the seller's agent, is I have to go explain what that actually means. Yes, they accept the property as is the state they just saw it in. However, they're going to do their due diligence over the next 5 days, and they're going to pay you $250 for those 5 days. Go ahead and cash that check. If they go through this whole deal, that check, that $250, will be credited back to them on the transaction. So it'll be a credit to buyer, a transaction,
Unless,
a debit to
if
seller.
you really want to make a strong offer and you're in a multiple offer situation and you're representing the buyer, have it where it doesn't come back to the buyer. The seller gets to keep that no matter what.
Right.
And that's just more enticing to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
a good
one
idea.
little
And so it's one of those, one of the cleanest offers I saw was the one I was talking about that Marshall wrote. We got 6 offers on that. They were all over the board. There were some people that were like, you're absolutely crazy asking for that price over here with no upgrades. And I'm like, well, I'm absolutely sane because other comps at this are selling at this, and we have a pool.
Right.
We have a beautiful pool that just got a whole makeover 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what would you rather buy? A house that had a pool, no upgrades, and then have to pay $25,000 in upgrades, or buy a house that was fully upgraded and then add a pool for $60,000 to $80,000? I'd probably rather roll the pool first than have my pick of all the upgrades going into the house. So,
Makes sense.
yeah, I do that a lot.
Making sense.
Yep. And while we're talking about strong offers, one thing that I do is I like to make sure that it's presented well as also. So you make sure to call the listing agent, find out all the terms that are important to his people, and then when I put
Or
it in
her.
to his or her people.
Thank you.
I knew this was going to be a problem.
You can't see them eyeballing each other.
Anyway, so I have a really nice email template, you would say, and I just basically put the new name in there. It's all on bullet points, so people who have a high D and they see it, they can just look through it really quickly, find out exactly what we're offering, and take it back and close the deal.
If you want a copy of that initial letter to
Yeah, I'll
send
send
out
it
to your
up.
buyers, we can send it out to you. Just send us a email over at info@realestateontherocks.com and put in there Marshall's letter.
Had lots of compliments on it though from
Yeah, I
would
think
imagine,
it's been a big winner. I don't think you guys have seen this yet. Maybe James, you have. Alicia will be happy to share it with you. But it's one of the strongest things I've seen Marshall come up with that helped his hit rate out when he was putting in so many damn offers over the past 2 years. Was he was having to stand out in front of other agents, and so that's one thing you're asking right
Yeah,
now.
no,
The
definitely.
biggest thing is to call
Yes.
that seller's agent,
Yes.
non
Listing agent.
yeah. No, you don't have to be a man or a woman. You just be a seller's agent.
Why you mad? Why you mad, bro?
A seller's agent. You just call that seller's agent and say, hey, look, what's important to your seller? Is it all about the money? The last one that called me, she was like, is it just all about the cash? And I'm like, no, it's not.
but it's mainly about the cash.
Yeah. I'm like, well, no, they really want it to go to a the same thing. They raised a great family there, and they're kind of looking for the same thing. Someone that's going to take care of their house and get enjoyment out of the pool, and be able to walk to school like they did, and be able to join the neighborhood. That's what they really want. The cash is secondary, really. And so, do you think we should write a letter? 100%. You should write a letter. Write a letter. Why? This might be a fit for you.
That's right. Tug at the heartstrings.
Yeah.
So we did this for leases, but I didn't hear too many people actually using it for a seller. Although, I mean, I've heard a couple people do it.
Well, because it's kind of faded over the past year at least since you've been in it, because
I
the
do.
market's not as strong as it was.
I do.
The market's
Yeah.
still strong here.
Yeah. Yeah.
However,
That was my go-to for leases if I wasn't
we-
sure, or
the
if I think there was an amazing client that just needed to be connected with a great house. Tell them, write a letter.
Yeah.
Explain who you are and how you are and why you enjoy this place. It worked every time.
we had to do it with leases real quick. I don't much talk about leases, but you roped me in. Was that
Got 'em.
Twist
when
my
I
arm.
would have people write letters for leases because leases were so hot. Leases were so hot, and if they had pets, I would have them take
Yep.
pictures of their pets right away and send those over with that letter stating, who their pet was, what the good attributes of this dog or this cat was, and why they should get the house over the person who didn't have the pets, because that's what typically people want to see. However, what were we?
Well, just going back to calling the listing agent, I think that's important
Yeah.
for many reasons, not only to find out the information that you need, but also to establish that rapport, get that going. Because obviously you're going to be working closely with this agent, so you want to make sure that they know that you're easily
good people. Yeah.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
people and easy to work with and care about your clients and all that fun jazz.
No, we had a great compliment yesterday. I spoke to somebody and that had been mostly dealing with one of my director of operations, answering some questions for me here and there on some phone calls off the company line, and I ended up calling the guy back, and we had spoke 2 or 3 times and just giving him all the information, being really transparent with him. And he was like, hey, I just want to let you know the only reason I called you back was how professional you've been and your team. He goes, I'll tell you what, today in this business, like, this is hard to come by when you get somebody that's forthcoming with information and calls you back and really can have a great conversation with you. So I really appreciate that.
Right.
So that was a good compliment, not knowing, that they're getting that from me. Hopefully I had something to do with that. But that Melanie, our director of operations, and I believe Marshall was even in there on that transaction somewhere talking to this guy, was that he talked to 3 different people on my team, and that's what he walked away with. Now, knowing if I'm ever a buyer's agent and I submit him an offer, he's going to remember who I am.
For sure. And plus, you have no idea what his connections are and how that could benefit your business down the road.
Right.
It could turn into a referral somehow in some way, right? Just
Right.
because you impress them with what you've done so far.
Right. So reaching out to the agent, getting an understanding what that seller wants. We're always looking for that. Typically, if you call me and we have a rapport, by the way, you can't look at it as any type of collusion or anything like that, obviously, and you can't, there's certain things you can say and you can't cross the line, and you can ask me as many questions as you want.
I ask.
But
every time.
Right. So, but I know my way around those questions, and I know what I can answer and what I can't.
Right.
So
But
it's
not
a very
everybody does.
strategic. No, they don't, because I ask questions
pulled
and people
some teeth
answering me. I'm like, or people will ask me that, like, you can't ask me that question, and I'm like, absolutely I can. You just can't answer it.
Right.
And so that's how that shakes out. But if they answer
Makes
it,
sense.
it helps us out in the curve a little bit. But typically, I like agents that call me.
Yes.
I like someone. They're go-getters. Just they care about their person's offer.
Mm-hmm.
If I get something in and it just comes from the office of, it comes from the office of Marshall Tucker. What do you guys do? What are you doing?
Nothing. The cord was hitting the mic.
It was technical
Oh,
difficulty.
I saw your hand on his leg and your leg on
I
his.
thought
I'm
y'all were
on the
doing
other
like
side
an
of the
ear
room.
handshake.
We are across the table together. Don't
Quit
get too
touching,
excited.
new guy. Stop it.
Don't be so easily distracted. Stay in your
friendly
zone.
Have you met this guy?
No.
It's called ADD, bro. It's just not gonna change
Google
because you
it.
told me so. Yeah. I'm the new guy and I'm here to correct your ADD. How's that? Stop it.
I saw it on YouTube
For
one
46
time.
years, I'm going to correct this right now.
Yeah. Plan A. Stop.
It's going to the doctor. Well, doctor, this hurts.
Stop it. I'll just put this sheet over my head. And just got a green screen sitting over here in the corner. Just put that on me.
Just put you in the corner and be like, go over there and do your thing.
Okay, so those are some tips and some tricks. Anything that I'm leaving out, Alicia?
No, I mean, so my first question is, do you have any offers on the table? No matter where they are in terms of like days on market. So that's always my first question. And I ask, how many do you have on the table? They say yes. And some answer, some don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I dig into that, as far as the terms, as much as they will reveal. Do you have any cash offers? Are they all financing, et cetera? And then I go into, okay, what's important to your seller? Obviously, bottom dollar is important. But are they looking for a long transaction or they're short term or short
Do
transaction?
they need a lease back?
Yeah, all that. Like, what's important?
Smart.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it,
Then
man.
you just stop?
That's it.
Done.
all you
It's just
did?
crickets on the phone with the other person?
Crickets.
Can you cue in a cricket noise, please?
Oh my god. I need those. I need good sound effects.
So, Marshall, you probably at this table. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that buyer's specialist. I would say that you're the biggest specialist in the room. You sell a lot of properties. You represent a lot of buyers over the past 2-3 years. Tell us your tricks.
Oh, my tricks and tips of the trade, huh?
Yeah.
Just answer the question. Quit being a dope.
No, I mean pretty much everything that we talked about. One thing I like to take a little bit further though, and like to check out the tax records, the previous history, just kind of see the price drops. Where they're at. Are they dropping the price in a hurry, or are they really sticking to their
Oh, I
guns?
like
They've been
that.
on like 4 months and no price drops because they must need all the money from
Who
it.
taught you
So,
this?
I don't know.
You're so smart.
I think I went to Ignite one time.
Oh, okay.
Was
Oh,
Dave
damn it.
Snowberger the teacher?
Damn it. Hold on. You dropped a Kellerism. What's Ignite?
Oh,
It's our training program for new agents, right, James?
Yes.
You added that, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Ignite is amazing.
It's a good program.
Yes.
Yeah.
For a new guy.
For a new guy.
For a new guy or gal.
Oh, damn.
Did it again.
small-
But yeah, those are all good tips and tricks there. Basically, you want to call the person as soon as you know that your client is interested in the property. Do not wait.
Yes.
You want to let the other person know that your client's interested in there because you never know, they might be working another deal.
That's right.
And by the time you get your ass and get the contract sent over there, it's already accepted.
This sounds so familiar. Let's do the Dumb Bird story of the week, starring
Does this
Marshall
involve
Tucker.
Oh man, I thought it was new guy.
No, it's guy that knows better guy.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
Over here.
It was like
They just told
9:30
me
at night.
they kind of gave me the head nod, like, Dave, don't worry about it. Like, stay in your own lane. I know you're the team leader and all, but I've got this. I'm your buyer specialist. I'm your right hand man. And by midnight, it was under contract because he didn't write it fast enough.
Oh no.
But it turns out they didn't want that house anyway.
Phew. Yeah.
I helped them
Almost
out.
a lesson learned. Almost.
Didn't want that house anyway.
Definitely don't procrastinate. One today is worth two tomorrows. So
You
make
know what
sure
they
get
say?
it
If
all
you
done.
procrastinate, you. No, I don't think they say that in the real estate business. We need a badump-bumps. All right, we're looking at the new guy right
assistant.
now because the new guy is also our producer of our show, and he needs sound effects in this show, so he's going to help us out with that. Other questions. So you had a great question. What offer? What can you do to make an offer stand out?
Have your
now
lender-
let's go with the second one.
Oh, I was going to just
Oh, yeah,
throw
that
another
second
tip
question.
in there.
Go ahead.
Have your lender
Yes.
call
yes.
the listing agent and tell them how
solid.
solid
Yes.
that deal is.
That is a
Yeah.
nice touch indeed.
Solid
So
as a
my
rock.
lender did that for the one that we're still waiting.
blew it
'cause it's a USDA loan.
Yeah, but your
called
lender doesn't
after-
control the government, so
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't him. But he called after we submitted the offer. He came in and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll reach out to her. I'll let her know the process, where we're at, and talk her up." I was like, "Awesome, thanks." And we like tag teamed it, and we've been in constant communication with the seller's agent.
Yeah.
she's been so appreciative of that this entire process, especially since it's been drawn out a little bit longer than we expected.
yeah. Our preferred lender, Mike Harold, over at Guild Mortgage, does that.
Yeah.
Way to go, Mike.
Way to go, Mike.
Give me 20 more minutes. I might have another nugget.
Hi, Mike. High five, Mike.
I want to be like mine.
What about the
Part two to that question.
home warranty? That's not a home warranty.
Home warranty, typically, if you
you
really
care?
want to win it, I'd drop that home warranty out of there. A lot of times people keep it in there because it's just explained by the seller's agent that it's part of the contract. I can make that back up for you on the next property you buy. I'll ask for the same thing. So it's just really a transfer of money.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
However, if I really want to win it or whatever else, I'll offer to pick up the warranty.
That's right.
It'd be,
The agent?
I'll
I was
just,
gonna
I'll
say,
just buy
as
it
a
out of my
gift.
pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
A nice little gift to me. If I'm making my average commission is what, $35,000. So just kidding.
I would also check
There I
the-
go.
Do we have that sound effect?
There I go. So $500 is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but if you have a $7,500 commission after splits, blah blah blah. I mean, $500 is really nothing. It keeps you right there.
Well, and if you're doing it right, they're a client for life, right? It's going to come back to you.
Yeah, it's a nice gift, a nice touch, and it shows your agent that you've got some skin in the game, that you're willing to do that, to get the deal done.
That's right.
So, part two of your question, I've been trying to get to it for a minute.
Yeah.
Was for a hot offer? What about one that's been on the market for 100 days?
Yeah.
Hundo.
Or even less, even if it's been on for a couple of months.
Okay.
There's extended time than normal in the market.
Okay.
How would I best position
So it really just depends. So if you take a look at it, you can realize you can do a quick CMA in a matter of seconds in the MLS, and you can kind of just draw around the neighborhood you're going to visit. You can see what the average days on the market over there. If they look at it, say let's just say 68 pops in my head for some reason. What I would do is I would look at the property, how many days it's been on the market, and then I would look, like you suggested earlier, go back and look at price drops and see what they're doing, see what their
Yeah, the history
motivation
is very
is.
important.
A lot of time what I do as the buyer's agent is I go actually study the agent, and I look at the agent, and if it's a one-off agent, and especially if they have a new license number, I can typically, I hate to say it, use that against them. And because really I have a fiduciary responsibility to my client to get them the best deal possible, right? Just like on the seller side, I have a fiduciary responsibility to keep as much money in their pocket as possible,
Right.
and not really put them in any harmful situation. So there's a huge difference, which we'll have someday. I have a podcast about really what it is to be a fiduciary versus a functionary. A lot of people we're dealing with these days in this market, when the fruit's hanging so low, they're functionary realtors. They're just going through the motions. They have no fiduciary responsibility at all. They don't feel any fiduciary responsibility, right? So I want to go look at who they are. I want to see their habits. If it's somebody that I recognize, I want to go look at the last few of their properties, the last 3 or 4 of their properties where they closed. What was the percentage off of that? So if they're $300,000 homes and they're all closing at 285, and this one's right there the same, I know that more than likely I can submit somewhere in that line of where these others are closing, because he is in a sense coaching his clients to take offers under this amount after this many days. So it gets really integral, and a lot of agents don't think like this or really know how to think like this. However, I'll pull off everything, look at it in a spreadsheet, and then I can start noticing that this guy accepts offers right around 5% under ask every single time. And so I can see that you can definitely see the data is there for the neighborhood. If you're not even looking at the agent, you can go look at the neighborhood and see that in this neighborhood, offers are selling 3 to 5% lower than everything else. So let's call it 4%. Take 4% off the top of the asking price, right? Come down 4%, or you might want to leave that 3, or come down 3%, leave that 1% there. So after you do your inspection, you can come back and have a little bit more wiggle room. So
That makes sense.
with the option, you can extend the option a little bit back out. It doesn't have to be the 5 or 7 day. Go ahead and ask for the whole 10 days. You don't have to do a $200 bigger option, $300, $400 option. Just do it for $100. $100 is the standard. It seems to be in our market. Do it like that. This is where you can check the box for seller pays for survey if that's not accepted by title company. Typically, you'll know any good agent. What we do is we have all the paperwork on the listing as soon as we launch. We don't launch listings without all the paperwork complete. So if we don't have the
seller's disclosure,
the seller's disclosure, the surveys, any kind of neighborhood stuff, anything like that, if we don't have it, it's not going live until we have it. If they don't have a survey, we're going to let it be known in the copy of the agent notes that we don't have a survey for this one, and really try to negotiate that up front. Won't be providing a survey. We've done that before. Typically, that scares off people, so we won't put anything like that. However, we'll have that conversation. Oh, by the way, we don't have a survey, so more than likely we'll have to order one if we can't find one or whatever. Typically these days, especially with anything built in the last 10 years, you can go to the title company that closed that. A little trick for you is that go research the address. If it's sold in the MLS, it'll more than likely have where who sold it, or maybe even, does it say title company in there? I don't think so, but it'll have who sold it. And if you go look, you can call them and say, hey, do you remember where you closed that at? Oh yeah, we closed it over Texas National Title. We can call Texas National Title and say, hey, do you have a survey on 123 Main Street? Boom, I just saved my sellers $400. Right? Yep. Or if you check the box in there and then you took the initiative to go do that because this seller agent's not doing it, you go find the survey for them. Now you look like a rock star. You just saved your seller your buyer $400 on that survey.
Makes
and time.
sense.
And you're keeping the closing date on track. So you got more skin in the game. You're operating as what?
Fiduciary.
Boom. And so what else in that contract do you really have to worry about? The only thing in there that says time of the essence is the option period. Earnest money, you can keep it at the 1%. You can go lower if you want on earnest money. You don't have to have your client come out. 1% is our industry standard. Nothing on the contract says there has to be earnest money.
Right.
We like to see earnest money because we want to have people in skin in the game. We've got one going out right now where our folks, they don't want to put out $3,500 and they asked if they could do $1,000. Absolutely, do $1,000. Whatever you're comfortable with writing a check with, at that point. Yeah. But it's been on the market for 58 days. So,
your buyer gets in the position of being in power, so to speak. Yeah,
and we're also on a cash offer, so that looks very appealing to this person also.
For sure.
So what else there? Title company, once again, is on that one, you can be a little bit more flexible if you want to try to get it over and keep those free lunches coming in or those free Topo Chicos that they drop off at your office. You kind of just write in your title company of choice. If not, just keep it with them. It's simple. Why would you care what title company they close at? I rarely do. I rarely care. I like closing over here because I can walk across the parking lot. That's probably the best thing about it.
Right.
And say hi to my clients and whatever else. But other than that, that's really the essence of the contract. It's just kind of those certain points. But I would come down a little bit. Have that hard line that you're not going to go past. If you're on the market for 58 days and you come in, it's say the property's 300, you come in at 290 and they say, absolutely not, we're sticking at 300. That might not be the property for you. That's not negotiating.
Right.
When people give you a hard no, that's not negotiating. Is that somebody you really want to be negotiating with in the first place? So
probably not.
That's up to you though. You're the fiduciary, you're the messenger. You take that back to your client, say, hey, look, they're not budgeting for $300,000. It doesn't make you look bad. A lot of agents get tripped up and think that that's them.
Imagine how inspections are going to go if it's like this already.
And everything else.
Right. And so, and I would put those things alight. Nope, we want this house. We have to live in this house. We can't live without this house. Well, cool. Then you got to come up to their cost. $300,000 it is. And then we'll come back and, then you use, your ability as an agent and, leverage the people around you, like your team leader and some other people that do this all the time and say, hey, okay, now we just got an inspection. All this stuff's wrong with it. They didn't budge on the price. What do we do? Well, you write up basically no nonsense. This is health and safety. These are deal breakers. So I go after anything that's health and safety first. All cosmetic stuff. As a seller's agent, I don't want to see cosmetic stuff.
No.
I plant that seed right off the bat, though. Just with agents, with buyers that let me know, okay, we did that, and they always want to call and they always want to plant their own seeds. Oh, we did the inspection. Oh my God, man,
Never seen so much red.
It's gonna take me a while to get this together. Unless you want me to send you a copy. Oh no, don't send me a copy. You know, a lot of times they'll say, yeah, send me a copy.
Yeah.
You know, show me what I'm working with.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, you want to see it?
Wait, what?
I just called their bluff right off the bat,
Yeah.
right? So,
Right.
Anyway,
Well, and I educate my buyers too. It's as far as setting expectations when you're looking at properties. Unless you're getting into a new home, you're going to have a honey-do list, right? I think I've said this in a previous podcast. So let's focus on the health and safety. You want to focus on those major items within the inspection. And that's as a buyer's rep.
yeah. That's important. The red flag items. I mean, Marshall's gotten really good at writing the stuff, and I'm impressed with him when he writes the stuff. That even sometimes when I work the buyer side, I'd rather Marshall do this for me. Take a list thing through here. And the last time I didn't take his advice, and I went for the gusto, and they shot it all down.
You got to condense that list and just ask for what you really, really want.
That's
you can't
right.
Just keep piling it on
My
there.
people were asking for like lanterns and yard furniture and like all this stuff. And just kind of like, oh, we want the charger to your Tesla also. It's like, you're not going to get their charger. How are they going to charge their car?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, we were thinking about buying a Tesla. Well, buy a Tesla and they'll give you a charger.
And they want the remotes for the lanterns, and the lanterns didn't even have remotes.
Yeah, they're like, you didn't write the thing with the remotes in here. And I'm like, well, they didn't have remotes. They're like, well, no, they had there was a remote on that
They're
porch.
$5 IKEA lights.
Yeah.
Leave it out.
They were just solar lights that were lanterns that hung on the outside.
People are so funny.
And they were adamant about this remote control. They searched all over Google for it, you know,
Yeah.
just everywhere with these manufacturer numbers. And like I finally found out, I was like, it's not. That was not the remote to the.
Let it go. Let it go.
dang. So anyway, I did get some stuff out of them though after we reverted back and they took a hardline stance with me and they didn't negotiate. What do I like to do? I like to, poke as much as I can and go ahead and tell her that I knew once I had stopped by the house, I saw that she was all packed up and the house was empty and she was checked out and moving. And without us, she wasn't going to where she was going because she needed the cash from the sale. So I knew I did have negotiating power.
Some leverage.
So yeah,
Some
I called
power.
back. I called back and I rewrote the amendment that we wanted a certain few things out there, some Pottery Barn chairs and this and that.
Some lanterns.
Just yes, we got it. We got every single damn lantern. That's for sure. And a few other things, and we got those. So I was able to really kind of look at the situation, see what we could really get because there's nothing wrong with the house. I mean,
Yeah.
they were picking on stuff like there was a chip of paint on the thing, and they're like, "Well, what about this?" And I'm like,
No.
"No,
Yeah.
you're not going to get that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's chip paint. That's all that is."
Right?
Yeah. So anyway, does that answer your questions?
Yeah, no, that really helps. There's a lot of little pieces, and then like the 32 ways to get out of a contract that everyone hardly talks about. But the really just compiling a quality offer to begin with seems to be well, actually this past week has been a hot topic. I've ran into several people asking about it.
It's like a
and
game of
talking
chess.
about it.
You
Yeah.
got to think about all the different angles.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
and my approach, whether it's multiple offer or not, is the same. It's the end product that's different.
It's the what?
End product, the offer, that's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on the situation. But my approach is the same. Call the listing agent, figure out what's going on, do your research, etc.
Yep. Big time, especially that new stuff, man. And let's give another little tidbit real quick. Before you go to these houses, call them and make sure that the property's still available.
Yes.
Send a quick text.
Yes.
Send a quick text, send something to guarantee, or not guarantee, but just to make sure that you're not wasting your time and hopping everyone in the car.
Well,
I know a certain
Or wasting your
agent-
client's time.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. is
Or
that I
setting
know
them
an
up for
agent that-
failure.
he would have to come, the client would have to come, the wife would have to come, and then they'd pile 2 kids into the car. And then they would go to these homes in 2 or 3 in a row, and every single one of them had a contract. It
Ugh.
just hadn't been changed over to pending yet. So it was one of the biggest knucklehead things I've seen in a while, but they don't know what they don't know. No
Yeah.
one's told them.
Right.
And so hopefully by the time that they ran that across me that happened, I can say, hey, look, this is what you need to do, and I can have a coaching moment with them. And that's really where it was. It was one of the coaching clients that I was talking to about this stuff, and they were wasting their time, and what a colossal waste of time for everybody in the car.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, all right.
The hearts get broke before they even get there.
Yeah,
It's like,
it seems to be it's human psychology that if you can't have something, you want it more, right? And so that's what you said earlier about the one that the client that they didn't want that house anyway. if that house would have, you know, if it was a day before and they knew it had an offer, they'd probably want it 10 times worse. I think they were just saving face that we didn't want that house.
I had a client last month that went 14,000 over. Just,
Oh, yeah.
Just because we told him there was multiple offers on it already, and he most likely wouldn't get it. So 14 over, still didn't get it.
Dang.
14K
Well, then
over.
you wonder about appraisals and everything. You know, the house has to appraise.
Yep.
I got contracts for that.
I understand.
Well, that's where cash is beating us out.
True.
Cash is king when it comes to that because no appraisal. So, good deal. All right. Well, that wraps up another episode of Real Estate on the Rocks. Alicia Hooper, Marshall Tucker, James Mendez, and Dave Snowberger want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. If you'd like to leave us a 5-star review, please feel free to do so. And actually, no, I'm not asking. I'm telling. No, I'm just kidding.
Right meow.
But right now.
This is how you write a 5-star review, strategically.
Step one.
New
We
podcast.
want to thank our sponsor, Mike Harrell over at Guild Mortgage. You can reach all of us at info@realestateontherocks.com. Just address us by first name, Dave, Alicia, Marshall, or Jaime.
Jaime. And Alicia with a Y.
Marshall has
Alicia
2
with a
L's.
Y.
Yeah.
Alicia with a TACO.
TACO taco.
That could be kind of weird. All right. Well, check it out. See you next time.
I'm out.
Bye, y'all.